Hey there, it's me, Leonora. Have you ever met someone so attractive and mysterious that you just couldn't resist them? Well, I did. But what I didn't know was that he was hiding a dark, blood-curdling secret. Just when I thought I knew everything about him, I discovered that my boyfriend is a vampire. Can you believe it? Let me tell you how it all happened. It was a cold, rainy night when I first met him. I had decided to go to my favorite coffee shop to work on my assignment. I was struggling to stay focused when I noticed him sitting at the corner table. His chiseled face, dark hair, and pale skin immediately caught my attention. But it wasn't just his looks that intrigued me. There was something mysterious about him, and I was drawn to it like a moth to a flame. "Hey, what are you working on?" he asked, startling me as he sat down at my table. "Oh, just an assignment for my psychology class," I replied, still a bit shocked that he had approached me. "I'm Cassius, by the way," he said, extending his hand. "Nice to meet you." "Leonora," I replied, shaking his hand. "Nice to meet you, too." From that day on, we became inseparable. He always knew how to make me laugh, and we had so many great conversations. He was truly one of a kind, but there were a few things that didn't quite add up. For one, he never ate or drank anything around me, always making up excuses, and he was always a bit too cold to the touch. One evening, Cassius invited me to his place for dinner. I was excited to finally see where he lived, but my excitement quickly turned into unease when I entered his home. It was old and creepy, with cobwebs hanging in every corner and an eerie silence that sent chills down my spine. As we sat down to eat, I noticed that Cassius's plate was empty. When I asked him about it, he said he had already eaten, but something just didn't feel right. After dinner, I excused myself to use the bathroom, but on my way there, I got lost and stumbled into a room filled with strange, antique objects. One thing caught my eye, though, an old, dusty book. It was titled The Dark World of Vampires. My curiosity piqued. I opened it and started flipping through the pages. As I read, I felt a growing sense of dread. The descriptions of vampires matched Cassius's behavior and appearance perfectly, but it couldn't be true, could it? Suddenly, I heard footsteps approaching. Panicked, I quickly hid the book and pretended to be admiring a painting on the wall.
"Leonora, what are you doing in here?"
Cassius asked, a hint of worry in his voice. "I got lost," I replied nervously. "I was just looking for the bathroom."
"I see,"
he said, his voice sounding relieved.
"Well, let me show you the way."
That night, I couldn't stop thinking about the book and the possibility that Cassius might be a vampire. I knew it was crazy, but I had to find out the truth. So I decided to follow him the next night when he told me he was going for a walk. I trailed behind him, trying to remain as quiet as possible. Eventually, he stopped in an alleyway, and what I saw next made my blood run cold. Cassius grabbed a rat and, to my horror, started drinking its blood. I couldn't believe my eyes. I gasped, and he suddenly turned around, his eyes glowing red.
"Leonora, why are you following me?"
he asked, his voice shaking. I saw you," I stammered, tears streaming down my face. "You're a vampire, Cassius? Why didn't you tell me?" He looked pained as he replied,
"I didn't want to scare you away. I thought if you knew the truth, you would never want to be with me."
I didn't know what to say. Part of me was terrified, but another part of me still cared for him. After a moment of silence, I asked, "Can you control it, the bloodlust?"
"Yes, I can," he replied solemnly. "I only feed on animals, never on humans. I promise, Leonora, I would never hurt you."
Despite my fear, I believed him, but I still had so many questions.
"How did you become a vampire?
What happened?" Cassius hesitated before answering.
"I was turned against my will over a century ago. I've been trying to live as normal a life as possible ever since, but it hasn't been easy."
The more we talked, the more I realized that Cassius was still the same person I had fallen for. Yes, he was a vampire, but he wasn't evil. He was just trying to survive and cope with his cursed existence. "Can we make this work?" I asked, looking into his eyes. "Can we still be together?" He smiled sadly. I want to be with you more than anything, Leonora, but I don't want to put you in danger. My world is a dark and dangerous place, and I don't want you to get hurt because of me." I thought about it for a moment, and then I made up my mind. "I don't care, Cassius. I love you, and I'm willing to take the risk." He pulled me into a tight embrace, and we stayed like that for a while, holding on to each other in the cold, dark alley. We knew that there would always be dangers lurking in the shadows, but we were ready to face whatever challenges came our way, as long as we had each other. And that's how I learned that sometimes the most unexpected love stories can be the most beautiful ones. That's it. That was my story. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe to not miss the next one. See you soon.